Here he is. Michael Silvers is an international businessman, one of the most sought-after ultimate performance coaches on the planet. I bet you want to know why. Just wait. He shared the top industry experts, including the most sought-after Tony Robbins. Yes, and he's got stories and a connection and a partner that was with Tony Robbins for, I don't know, 25 years as a personal assistant. I mean, can you imagine the conversations they've had together? Har Ecker, Les Brown, former President Bush, Gene Simmons, just to name a few. He's built a coaching business as well as masterminds for some of the largest companies in the world, some of the most successful masterminds that you and I have ever attended. He's the director of coaching for T. Harvard Eckert and Peak Potentials, and he's traveled the world for Harvey. And he was just telling me that the first time that he got over stage fright ever was in Singapore for Harvey, when he realized it's not about me, it's about me helping you, helping others get to where I want to be and how they need to be their own shining stars. He's a managing partner of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. His mission is to help professionals create the wealth and the lifestyle they desire and deserve. Michael is a proud hands-on father of 7 grandchildren. Yes, that's blessing. Please give it a warm welcome for the amazing Michael Silvers. Woohoo!
All right, break it. Yeah. It's great. How are you doing, Cynthia?
I am so good because it's delightful to have you here. It is so fun to be podcasting from a remote location and have you as my guest, and everything's going so well. And tell us about your journey. Tell us about being born and raised and becoming a personal development guy in the police and the Hollywood little stint you did, and Elvis, and you've got so much stories.
It's amazing that, we are a product of everything that we've done, and it all leads up to where we're at. And, sometimes it's as those of you, raise your hand if you get older. We're all getting older, but as you get a little older, there's bigger stories. There's older stories. And then I always say, I'll go on stage and say, I'm a grandpa. I'm going to tell stories the whole weekend. Just deal with it. Right. But it is who you are and where you started. And I'm so blessed to be on the show with you. And thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. And for all of you listening out there, it's just an honor to have you listening and taking your time, because your time is as important as our time. And, if you're with the kids or anything you're doing, just enjoy yourself while the show is on. And comments, feedback, as Cynthia knows, the more you share, the more you help everybody. So share it with everybody, because I always used to teach, you never know what you're going to learn, right? Bob Proctor said, buy every course, just buy every course. And my wife and I did. And part of what that is whether you think the course is good, bad, up, down, right, left, you're always going to learn something. And as you're always learning something, so every time I walk into a course, I listen to a podcast, I do a presentation, there's one thing I'm going to learn. I know there's something that I'm going to learn, and whether maybe I've heard it before, I need to hear it again because I'm in a different place. So everybody out there, just take that one thing today. Maybe the one thing is you're here on time and you learn to be on time. I don't know, whatever it is, that makes a difference. So Cynthia, thank you so much. I'm going to do my background really quick. I'll really take the last, we've got 4 hours, 52 minutes. So nobody worry about that. We'll just keep going. But my background really quick. I was born and raised in LA. Fast forward it, lots of different little careers along the way that were important because everything got me to where I am, from police officer to working in Hollywood for a year and working with Elvis's PR people after already had passed away, and he was making more than he ever did. Right. It was pretty amazing. And becoming a clinical psychologist and working with children and adults, and then becoming a male nurse. We're done with those jokes. To network marketing, to personal development for the last, 25 years of my life. And it really just says that it's always about learning. It's always, are you learning? And I always ask myself, am I helping others? Am I making a difference? Because in that personal development journey, as I was coming through this, I met different people. The reason that we worked with a gentleman named Chris Howard and we were 5 years in Australia and all over the world and bouncing around and building big divisions is because we went down to Australia to go see him when nobody else would. They all wanted to wait till he came locally. I'm like, if I bought the courses, I'm flying down there. So I'm not going to wait 3 or 4 months till he comes back. You do it now. And it was that attitude of, why are 2 Americans down here? What are you doing down here? I need to know more. And then listening for his needs and wants and fulfilling that. That's what you always have to be doing is you do this and then getting a phone call and then spending 9 years working with T. Harv Eker and Peak Potentials and really traveling the world extensively at that point. And at the same time, meeting my current business partner, Mary Glorfield. And we've been business partners now for a long time. And she was actually Tony Robbins' executive vice president for 18 years. And she basically ran, the show with him, and they traveled to 82 countries together. She put them on stages and produced events in 82 countries for 18 years. And what that says is there's dedication, but they also knew they were helping change the planet and to create a message. So that's my background in a nutshell. I've trained on stages all around the world. I've been on the big stages. I've had to take people off. I didn't want to, but it happens. When you're the host, you're the host. I've got to speak in front of 1 to 10,000 people. I've been on virtuals. Our last virtual hit 1.6 million viewers. And it's every day we're just making a difference. And now I'm VP over at the Los Angeles Tribune. And I love what I do because we're a media company that's making a difference in a different way.
And how are you doing that?
By getting the message out in many different assets, because what happens is media comes at you really quick now, right? It just pops at you. And what do I want to see? And is that something I want to look at? And what we're doing is we're creating a relationship, which has always been around marketing and branding and media. It's always about a relationship. But we're taking it from the standpoint is we have the website, we deliver news. At the same time, we're also building a whole side of almost like a personal development company. I don't want to say it that way, but we're doing live events. We're doing Barnes and Noble events. We're doing these big virtuals. Again, the last one hit big out and they're just getting bigger and bigger. So we're reaching audiences in 23 countries. And we're giving them something to really hold on to on their phones because we get pictures from villages, kids in villages watching the shows. And during the show, we don't sell anything. It's information and education. And we bring them people that they've never had before, but they're allowed to make comments. And we talk about those comments. So now we're interacting with a population in 23 countries. We're really giving them the information. And there's nothing threatening about what we do because it's always, how do you take your message forward? How do you move forward? What do you need to do in this situation? Okay, maybe your day is to go to the well. And getting that water is the most important part of your day. And if we can give you something that maybe just helps your journey or maybe has you think about something as you do that, we've done what we need to do. And so we're creating a message that's very interactive everywhere we go by building a team of some of the greatest in what they did and bringing them into really a conglomerate of thought leaders, making a difference, but always about how do we be of service? And that's the message all the time. How are we being of service? And that I've been in the industry a long time. I've been around Hollywood a long time. We have a lot of Hollywood around us. And I constantly knock on the door. My first thing is, how did you serve someone today? And those are the people, when they answer that question, are the ones I want to work with. My wife and I, our career started because not only do we go to Australia, but we'd walk in and we go, we're students. We paid as much as all of you. How can we help? Can we move a chair? Can we do anything today? Do you need any help? Great, fantastic. Okay, we sit down, we take our seats. And that's what we're looking for.
What's the biggest challenge you've had?
There's all different types of challenges, right? And you look in life and there's things that, for me, the one of the first challenges was really when this career that I always wanted as a police officer, and I get an injury early on that takes me out. And it was now, well, okay, my life's over. All right, my life's not over, but this is all I've ever wanted to do. So what do I do now? And it was really what I realized early on for me was getting through that challenge. Part of that was about I found mentors right away. And I also found friends that just kicked my behind and kept me moving, right? I just moved in a direction and they said, it's like, what I want to do with my life now is I'm like 21 or 22 years old, right? They're like, okay, all right, all right. What we want you to do is you get up, you walk out that door, you look up and you go, all right, universe, what's next? And then you take action, right? You take action, you get something done. And so that was one of the first things. I mean, there's other things that happened along the way, but for me, that was one of the first major, okay, so this is not going to go the way I wanted it to. So now I make a decision. Do I whine and bitch about it or do I go make things happen? And I went to make things happen. I literally called everybody I knew and said, all right, well, this is sort of over for the moment. So what do I do next? And that's where I did the stint in Hollywood because I said, all right, you all know producers and directors. We all grew up in LA. Who do you know? And landed me a stint at Raleigh Studios for a year. And that sort of was my decision to leave, not knowing what I wanted to do. I actually was going to do with my family, my accountants, attorneys, doctors, everybody's down that road in my family. So I went to college to become an accountant. I literally, the first day of the first class, I knew that was not where I was going. That was it. I was over. I pulled out and I knew I wanted to do something more in the field of social science or something. And that moved me forward.
And is that where you went into NPL?
That really was at that point, I actually got my master's in clinical psychology and I worked with children and adults for about 8 years, mostly a lot of times with children to repatriate into homes. I also worked with the developmentally disabled for a long time because I was very comfortable. Not everybody's comfortable to work with heavily autistic and children who are having really deep issues. And I worked for the state of California because I was the guy who went in, made sure they were safe, they were healthy, everything was, and I'd go to court for them. And at the same time, I could look at treatment plans and I could really see, okay, why are we doing this? And why is it going? And I was always willing to question what was going on because it wasn't about me. That was the first place I really learned it wasn't about me. NLP and everything else we did really didn't come in till at that point, almost 15 years later. It was the other journeys I was on. And also the entrepreneur journey didn't really start. As a nurse, I decided I'll become a nurse practitioner and then I'll have 5 offices and life will be good. And then HMOs came in and that sort of crushed that dream. But the entrepreneur side, I always knew I'd do something, but I was also very tied to a paycheck. It was very much part of my neurology growing up. And that's the big shift where I met Bob Proctor.
Well, so he met Bob Proctor and Bob Proctor changed his life. So I don't know how many Bob Proctors are out there, but he has some great words of wisdom. He and Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill has amazing things. If you don't have that book, you should pick that one up. All the books by Napoleon Hill. And meanwhile, Michael's back to tell you about Bob Proctor.
Boy, I don't know where I went. So, and it's just, if you've never read anything by Bob Proctor, just get anything. Doesn't matter. Everybody says, well, which book? Stop doing that. Because when you tell people to get a specific book, they don't buy anything. It's the funniest thing. I'm like, if you go into Amazon, look up Bob Proctor, just buy anything you see. Don't start trying to find the one we talk about. That used to happen a lot of times too. We'd recommend, especially authors who had a lot of books. And they'd be like, well, which one? Okay, just get a book. Get something. Well, I don't read. Fantastic. I don't read that well either. I didn't read till I was almost 9 years old. So books on tape was my blessing, and for you, it's streaming. So the biggest thing is just get something done and just listen to move your life forward and keep it moving forward. That's always that piece that's so important.
And take action. Listen to it. Do it. Get good practices. Who was your most successful coach that helped you? Bob Proctor. Who else?
I've had a lot. I've been blessed. T. Harv Eker. I got to live with Harv in green rooms for 2 years. We just lived in that environment. And for me, I just listened. I literally just listened to him make these worldwide deals and the stages and the size of the stages and what we were doing and which countries were opening up. And for me, it was just, and I was his director of coaching, so I was building these international divisions, and I just did a lot of listening because I got to be around him. I got to be around the owner of Success Resources, who was doing 500 events a year. We spent 3 years together. I got to be around a lot of the people from Tony because they were promoting Tony internationally exclusively. I got to be, there's all these people I got to be around, and I just listened. I did very little talking in those green rooms. They knew me as the quiet Michael, really shy. Okay, I'm an introvert, but I'm not that shy. But that wasn't me. I'm not there to talk. I'm there to listen and learn. And I soaked it up for like 8 years. And I was building the programs and getting everything going and training. We trained, I don't know, 30,000 coaches in the whole time. And we've seen more clients than you know. And we've trained, 10,000 trainers. And we were doing all that. But I was listening. And I was listening the whole time. And that makes a difference.
Yes, it's all about listening. And you listen to 7 grandchildren.
I do. And I always say part of being a grandfather is listening. And then you're a mentor for them, but you learn as much from them as you do from yourself. And you see yourself, right? And you see the things that are hard for you or bother you or make a difference. And for everybody out there, so we get a lot of authors, speakers, trainers. We're the Los Angeles Tribune. We're a media outlet. So we see, and at T. Harv Eker and Peak Potentials and at Robbins Research with Tony. And, Robert Kiyosaki, that was an exclusive too on the road. You saw people in all walks of life, and they're always like, well, I want to be the next Tony. Okay, stop that. Okay, there is Tony Robbins, right? I want to be the next Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki is Robert Kiyosaki. Harv Eker is Harv Eker. You are who you are. So step into that power. That's the importance. That's like working with our grandchildren. I'm like, just step into your own power. Be who you are. Don't try to emulate somebody else. Take the good things that you like about them. Take the messages. I do not have the lung structure of Tony Robbins. Let me tell you that right now. But at the same time, I have skills and there's things that I can do. I am great at building communities. You can give me, that's why I did network marketing. I was incredibly, and in 1 year we were set, life was good. I am incredibly good at building community. And I love building community. Loyalty is my highest value. So I stay around sometimes longer maybe than I should. But find that part of yourself. So when I build a team, I know I can build a community. I got that part down. So I look for the one who can do I like the ideas. I'll take you out 10 years from now, but I don't want to incept every idea. So I look for the ones who do that. And as everybody out there is you're listening and you're mentoring and you're bringing this all in and you're finding your path, build the right team around you or be part of that right team that fits really where you're going. And it makes it so easy every day.
What have you learned from one of your grandchildren?
Oh boy, there's so much. Part of my oldest grandson, he's a very linear thinker. He's brilliant, and he literally could take any game, right? Because he does games that are all about thought and putting things together and building and structure, and he like understands how the whole thing works in 5 minutes. And I'm still like, wow, give me another month and maybe we'll see down this road. But I've learned from him, he's so patient about it because, and this is a 13-year-old, and he's just really patient. He really looks and he thinks about it. What's the next step, and how do I need to move here, and how does this piece fit? And this piece doesn't quite fit, but maybe there is a way, and it's really that when you've been in the business for a long time, I have a tendency of I've done it so much, it's like I got to step back to explain it, and I really learned from him just be patient. Just take a breath, take a slow down, look at the whole picture. It's like Tetris, right? A game I don't like and I don't have patience for, but look at the whole picture. This is dropping into this sequence. And I actually mentioned Tetris to a young audience a couple of years ago. They had no idea what I was talking about. Just like I said Rolodex once, I made that mistake. I was in Singapore and I said, your Rolodex is? Nope, no idea what you're talking about. Okay, you're not. It's the kind of thing where so I've learned a lot of patience. There's a lot I've learned from them. They're amazing every day.
And they light you up. Obviously, your whole demeanor just radiates now. You slow down to tell us the story.
What was that?
I said you slowed down to tell us the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you touched everyone's heart. So you guys listen and slow down, and you can learn everywhere from everyone. Those little lessons of breathing, patience. Patience is something that's sorely lacking in our instant
Mm.
world these days, and you can learn so much. You can't grow a tree out of a seed in one day. You can't grow a flower instantly. What tips do you have for individuals looking to achieve peak performance in their personal and professional lives, Michael?
Yeah, the biggest thing I always say is, and I used to do this all the time. So when I'm on other stages, you'll see people with hand signals, but it's the 3, 2, 1, which you can't really see because of the green screen, the background. But um, you in your life to move forward, whether it's personal, business, performance, sports, whatever it is, have these things, and they'll help you every time. Have 3 coaches. So you have one coach who literally, I use the clinical term, kicks your behind. That coach just keeps you moving forward because you want somebody who's just willing to tell you how it is. And I
Mhm.
think that's really important because you don't need to always say how great I am. Um, it doesn't you don't tear somebody down. That's a whole different story. But what's really important is that you have that coach who just kicks you behind and keeps you moving on those days you don't want to. You start to whine, right? It's okay to whine to your coach because they'll kick you behind anyways. Have one coach that is really about, if it's your business side, understands your business but doesn't have to be in your business. Can help you with a directional focus. So write that down. It's really, what's your vision? Where you're going? Then you have a coach this might be spiritual, it might be a personal trainer, it's somebody that helps the body mind connection somewhere in that point. And if you have those 3, it keeps you moving. Now, people always say too, well, but I don't have the money to do that. Fantastic. Start somewhere. Find
Mhm.
somebody, right? No, eventually I'll have 3 coaches. Maybe it's just for my own personal life that I'll have a coach who's maybe a personal trainer. Maybe I'll just go to a class where maybe I'll go to a class in a park. I used to do Tai Chi. This is way back when in
Cool.
Santa Monica in a park. I mean, this is way back. This is probably, I think it was in the middle 80s. And so, the teacher was like, it was $20 a week or whatever, but it was awesome because we were in a park in Santa Monica. It was beautiful. Then, so you got your 3 coaches, then you're going to have 2 mentors. A mentor is somebody who's just further down the road than you. They don't have to be a lot richer, but they're down the road. They're where you want to be. So they might have more money. They might have a lifestyle you want. They might have whatever it is. And make sure that there's 2 of them in your life. And eventually, make sure you pay for that because you want to invest in a mentor because you're investing in yourself. Always remember, everything you buy everything. The reason that my wife and I are where we are is because we invest in everything. You want me in your courses. I don't do as much anymore, but literally my credit card's on the back table before I even know what's going on because I don't want to stand in line. I just want it. And that because I was told every time you say no, you constrict, and you don't want to constrict because it takes forever to open back up. And there's a lot of courses I never even took, never even got there because there were so many going on. But it's a mental set of, I just say yes, as long as it's ecological. Write this down. No harm to yourself or others. And the last thing is a mastermind. A mastermind is a group of individuals that create something out of nothing. In the beginning, you probably don't have the money to afford. I mean, Robbins Research is Platinum Partnership. It's 85,000 just to join. We had at Peaks, we had one. And I ran that at Peaks for a long time. But in the beginning, maybe just find 5 people who want to join you on maybe even just once a month, and you take an issue and you mastermind it. You work it out. Read Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil really covers it, but even in his first book, and you want to do that because it will keep you from being here and staying here, and always moves you forward. And then eventually you'll find masterminds. The other thing too, I will say, and boy, I always get hit when I do this because I ran one of the biggest masterminds, and then Mary created the other one, the Platinum Partnership. There's a lot of masterminds out there. I don't know. If you ever just want to reach out to me and ask me first, I'm always okay. And I'll never say it's terrible. I'll just say maybe look for another one. That's the byline. Just look for another one. Because everybody. So here's what happened, just really quick, and I'll stop. Everybody was a life coach, right?
Mhm.
2000s, everybody was a life coach. Then all of a sudden, everybody became a mentor. Then everybody became a mastermind trainer. Now they're all speaker coaches. I've never seen more speaker coaches in my whole life. And I just asked one the other day, how many events have you done and what events do you offer? And there was, well, no, but I'm the trainer. I'm like, whoa, slow the boat. Okay. I've taught it 72 times to probably about 10,000 students. And I've also helped produce probably about 3,000 events. So you don't have to have numbers like that. But have you done one, two? So there's a lot going on. And that's okay. That's my soapbox. I'm done. But really get a mastermind in your life. 3 coaches, 2 mentors, and a mastermind. Your life will move forward, really, no matter what happens.
There are a lot of pearls in that little speech there. You might want to replay this and share it and pick those up and actually write them down and do them, because that was gold right there. That was a freebie that will take you all the way to the end of your life. So, Michael, what legacy do you want to leave through your work in personal development and coaching and your podcast now with the Los Angeles Tribune?
The biggest thing is that for me, it's one person. If one person hears what we're saying and has made a difference to somebody else around them, and they've made a difference, then I've left my legacy. And if it's a message of peace, hope, or love, life is good. And forgiveness, let's not forget that. So put forgiveness in everything, because that will bring a world that I want my grandkids to walk into.
And we're setting the stage now for our children and our children's children. And it's up to you and me and Michael and everyone that you touch every day, being kind. And what closing words from Michael?
The biggest thing I'm always going to say is there's nothing fancy here. Good. I'm going to sound like Nike, but just step forward. Just really step forward every single day and look around and say, who have I served today? And when you can answer that question, your day is done, and go to the next day.
And you can start first thing in the morning, even before you open your eyes or as you open your eyes, and go, what 3 things am I going to do today? How can I be kind? And your whole day will be like, oh, just leaving a little early so that you don't have to lie and make excuses that you're late, right? I'm in traffic and I haven't even left the house yet. Cut all lies from your life. Your life will open up. 2, take a moment, open the door for someone. It's very easy. 3, be kind to the people in your immediate circle. Like, be kind to your wife, your children, your neighbor, everyone around you, because maybe they had a hard day too, and say, hey, for real, check it out. And then do all the other stuff that you're doing. But, you take that moment and go inside and go, and your whole day just opens up like sunshine. So thank you for being a star in our little world. And we want to know more about you. And you can go follow. How do we follow Michael? You can go join him and follow him. Michael, what's your website? Tell everybody, and Eric will put it up for you.
The easiest way to do it is you can go just to the Los Angeles Tribune. So just go to the losangelestribune.com, and you'll see the podcast network on there. You'll see other things we're doing. We're going to throw up a calendar in about 2 weeks, because we have a ton of live events that we do. We'd love to have you part of it. And we also do all of our virtual. I think we have 18 virtual coming up. So just go to that, follow that. You can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. It's obvious. You'll see. If you don't get me, you'll get the Michael Silvers, who is the Oscar-winning at Skywalker Ranch, or you'll get the Michael Silvers, who's the big attorney in LA. But then I come up number 3, so it's all good.
I check them out too. And we want to thank everyone that joined us now live in person, and say a shout out to Jay Skinner, the plastic guy, and Catherine Kim Mullins, and Eric and Darlene, my favorite place to be, and Eric B. Flanori, who always is supportive. We can't wait to have him on our show. And everybody else, we thank you, and spread the word. Be kind, be smart, live your best life. Use this, the Los Angeles Tribune, and see him next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.